What is up guys, Phoenix here again, and you requested a Resto Druid guide, and that's exactly what I'm going to bring you guys. So, we're going to start off with stat priorities. Now, the first stat I want to talk about is intellect. Now, intellect increases your mana, increases your spell power, and increases your spell critical hits, which is definitely viable. So, you want as much intellect as you can possibly get. Now, the second stat is spirit. Now, spirit is a tricky one. Spirit is one of them stats where you, as a player, you're the only person who can judge whether you have enough of this stat or if you have too little of this stat. Now, if you have too much spirit, then you basically reforge the existing spirit into other priority stats. If you have too little, then you're going to want to get more spirit. Now, I can't say you need this amount of spirit. It's where you feel comfortable, because don't forget, in raids and in your own talent spec, you have abilities to basically regenerate your mana. So it's definitely one of them stats that you as a healer need to experiment with until you have basically the right amount of spirit. So once you have enough spirit and you feel comfortable with your mana regen, the next stat is haste. Now, haste is extremely important for Resto Druids. Now, the reason is they have a chance, well, not a chance, it's an actual fact. They will basically get an extra tick on a rejuvenate and a wild growth proc. Now, this is extremely important, especially when raiding. So, I will talk about the haste breakdown in the next section. So, once you have haste and you've got the amount of haste that I'm going to specify in the next section, then you want to move on to mastery, because in the long run, mastery benefits you more than critical strike actually would. So, critical strike is the least amount of effort you need to put into your stats. Critical strike, you don't really need it. You get a lot of crit from abilities and talents and stuff like that. So, let's break it down even simpler. Intellect, spirit until you have enough spirit. Once you have enough spirit, haste until you're haste capped. Once you're haste, mastery. That's it. Okay guys, that's it for this section. So let's talk about reforging now guys. If you have crit, reforge crit into haste. If you have mastery, reforge mastery into spirit. Once you have enough spirit, leave mastery as mastery. Once you have enough haste, reforge crit into mastery. Okay guys, so I want to talk about gems now. Let's have a look. For your red or yellow slots, this is mainly for yellow, you want to use a Reckless Ember Topaz, which is basically 20 intellect and 20 haste. Two things you actually need. Now, for the red or blue slots, this is mainly for blue. You want to use a Purified Demon's Eye. Now, this is 20 intellect and 20 spirit. And the reason you use this is so you can reforge your other stats into better things like haste and then mastery. And then for your red slots, let me find one, here we go. You want to use just pure 40 intellect gems, which is the Brilliant Inferno Ruby. Now these are the 3 gems you need to use, and there's no better gems to use, to be honest. So yeah, use them guys. Okay guys, this is the haste breakdown. Now I'm going to try to explain this as simply as I can. Inside of a raid, when you're raiding, if you have a warlock or a boomkin who can give you the increased haste, you need 916 haste. That will benefit you from getting a free rejuvenation proc. Without it, you will only have 4 ticks. With it, you will get 5 ticks. Now, outside of a raid, if you don't have a boomkin or a warlock in your group that can't benefit you from haste, you need to gain 1602. So outside of a raid or whatever, without a warlock or a boomkin, you need 602 haste to benefit from the extra proc. If you have a warlock or a boomkin, you need 916. Okay, good. For the wild growth free proc, you need 2745 without a warlock or a boomkin. If you are in a raid with a warlock or a boomkin, then you need 2005. So let's say you go into a dungeon and you've got no Warlock or Boomkin. You need 2,745 haste, which I think is doable with the tier 12 stuff. I'm 100% sure, because I haven't looked at any of that gear actually. I haven't raided for quite a while. If these are Warlock, then you just need 2,005. Pretty simple, good, because I had a hard time trying to explain this. So I hope you understood it, guys. Okay guys, I'm going to talk about your spells now. Now we have a lot of spells, half are heal over times and a half are direct heals. Now the first one I'll talk about is Life Bloom. Now Life Bloom, you put Life Bloom on yourself or a target. It only works on one target in single form. When you're in tree form, you can put it up to multiple targets. Now when you use Life Bloom, it's basically just a heal over time. It ticks and it ticks and it ticks. Now when you have a talent in your talent tree, which we'll talk about later, when you use a direct heal, being Regrowth, Nourish, or Healing Touch, your Life Bloom will basically be refreshed. So it's a constant heal over time on that target. You mainly put this on your tank targets. Now, when the Life Bloom expires, it will heal the target for equivalent to a Healing Touch. You see there, it was a 32k heal, not too bad. Now the second ability you want to use is Rejuvenation. Now back in the Wrath of the Lich King, this was the bread and butter of a Resto Druid. We spam this on everything and everyone. And it's a really good heal. It's probably one of our most beneficial heals that we have. Although we can't spam it anymore, it still is useful and you need to use it a lot. And this also activates another key ability for Resto Druid, which is Swift Mend. Now Swift Mend is basically just like an instant heal, and if you've got it talented, it will leave an AoE circle on the floor which will heal you as well. So this is extremely good. Now our first direct heal ability is Regrowth. Now this is like the flash of light for like a Holy Paladin. It's expensive but it's fast. Now this also activates Swift Mend. Now when you've got it talented, it also gives you a 15% haste buff for about 15 seconds, I believe it is. So if we use it, yeah, you see we got Nature's Grace, which is basically a 15% increase on your haste. So in situations when you're like, oh shit, this guy's gonna die, you want to use a fast heal. The haste buff will come in handy, but the thing is, it does have a minute cooldown. So you can't just spam this for the sake of it, because that 15% haste could help you out in sticky situations. So keep that in mind. Now, the bread and butter now of a Resto Druid is Nourish. Now, Nourish is a slow heal. It's an average okay heal. And this is one of the abilities that you can spam all day. Actually, I'll just show you. Like, I've got 98k mana, so if I just keep spamming, you'll see, watch it go down, and then it's almost back up, and it'll always stay like that. Now it'll go back down to 6 and then back up to 8, down to 6, back up to 8. So you can literally spam that all day and you'd never go no matter what. So our biggest heal is Healing Touch. Now this is, you're the biggest heal we have. It's the same cast time as Nourish, but it costs twice as much and it heals for twice as much. So it's one of the abilities you don't want to be spamming too much, but if needed, you have to throw it on your tank. Now the thing to remember with Druids is they're more useful for raid healing, and they are good at supporting tanks, putting their hots on and then going back to raid healing. It's viable in raids, and that's what they pretty much do. But when you've got to predict, it's like a disc priest. You've got to predict when damage is going to be incoming, because hots over time, heals over time, they will not just heal your target up full, not like a direct heal, because obviously they're ticking over time. So you need to make sure you actually use abilities correctly and pre-put dots on your tank when he's going to be taking lots of damage and stuff like that. Now, our AoE healing ability is Wild Growth. Now this heals up to 6 friendly targets another one if you've got it glyphed. And it does do quite a lot of healing. I use this ability a lot. Instead of putting a rejuve on people, I just use that because generally they shouldn't be taking too much damage, unless of course it's like AoE damage. Then I'd be using rejuves and then wild growth, etc. So the last ability I want to talk about is Nature's Swiftness, which is basically an instant cast. Now I've macroed that in to use Nature's Swiftness with a healing touch. So it's my fastest heal. Well, it's my slowest heal, but it's my biggest heal. So I might as well instant cast that instead of a regrowth, which is super duper fast. So guys, last thing I want to talk about druid healing is, if you want to be a good druid healer, you've got to know what to do. And by that I mean, if you have hots on a target, your healing is going to be increased. Now this is the druid's mastery. Your heals are basically increased by 1% of your mastery. So if I just heal myself now with Nourish, let's do an example. So I'm going to wait until it crits. Hopefully it'll be sometime today. Come on, crit. Come on. Crit. God damn it, crit. Oh. Crit. Come on. There. Okay, finally. It was a 13k heal. Now, if I put my hots on, I put this on, and I use this, and then hopefully it'll crit. Let's see. I think I'll do it in time. Let me just keep going. These are points to this, guys, honestly. There you go. You see now it's a 15k heal. The more mastery you have, and the more hots you have on that target, the more you will actually heal. So you seen when I had no hots on, it was a 13k nourish heal. When I had life bloom and rejuvenate on, it went up to a 15k heal. This is something to keep in mind, especially when you're healing a tank. The more hots you have on, the bigger your direct heals are going to heal. So keep that in mind, guys. And that's it for this section.